Hello and welcome, everyone. Glad to have you here with us today at the Global Game Changers Summit 2023. Today, we are going to talk about business development, and I will take you all the way back to the Great California Gold Rush of 1848. When gold was discovered in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains, it attracted fortune seekers from all over the world to the golden state of California. But while hundreds and thousands of people mined for gold, there were only a few winners. What was their secret? We'll find out. But first, a little bit about myself. My name is Nandini Nag, and I'm part of the go-to-market team at Hitachi Vantara. I have been fortunate enough to have lived and worked in 6 countries across 3 continents: Asia, Europe, and North America. And during the course of my career, I have worn different hats. I've been an accountant, an auditor, a management consultant, and for the last several years, I have specialized as a tech strategist focusing on emerging technologies like hybrid cloud, X as a service, and AI. So, what is business development anyway? I think the following clip perfectly encapsulates that. Let's roll the clip.
What can I do for you, Rod?
Show me the money.
Show me the money!
That's it, brother, but you got to yell that shit.
Show me the money!
I need to feel you, Jerry.
Show me the money!
Jerry, you better yell.
Show me the money! Show me the money!
Yes, the primary objective of business development is to make money. But in order to do so, you have to be able to create and deliver value. Now, there are many definitions of business development available, but the one that resonates with me is the one from Forbes magazine because it focuses on the long-term value creation aspect of BizDev. And no, you don't need to have the star power or charisma of a Tom Cruise in order to be successful in business development. What you need is a value creation strategy. And the one we are going to discuss today is called selling shovels in a gold rush. This is by no means a new concept, though. In fact, it has its roots The Great California Gold Rush started in 1848 when gold was discovered in the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains. It lasted about a decade, peaking around 1852-53. It is estimated that during this time, about $2 billion worth of gold was extracted. About 300,000 people came to California in search of gold from countries as far away as China and Mexico. But while the gold fever spread far and wide, not all the prospectors struck it rich. There were, however, a few clear winners. Meet Samuel Brennan. In the 1850s and 60s, Samuel Brennan was known as the richest man in California. And do you know what he did not do? He did not mine for gold. Samuel Brennan owned the only store between San Francisco and the goldfields of Coloma. And during the gold rush, he made a fortune selling picks, pans, and shovels to the gold miners. Apparently, he sold as much as $5,000 worth of goods every day during that time. Another entrepreneur who also cashed in on the gold rush was an immigrant from Bavaria, Germany, named Levi Strauss. And if the name sounds familiar, that's because he's the man behind the famous Levi's jeans. Strauss, like thousands of others, came to the boomtown of San Francisco, but he too had no intention of mining for gold. Strauss set up a dry goods store at the height of the gold rush in 1853. Over the course of time, Levi Strauss came to recognize the need for durable clothing amongst the hardworking gold miners. In 1873, Strauss partnered with a tailor named Jacob Davis to create the first pair of denim overalls. The rest, as they say, is history. Needless to mention, both of these entrepreneurs struck gold during the gold rush, and they made their fortune by selling shovels rather than digging for gold. So you might be thinking, does this strategy still work today? Is it still relevant? I would argue that it is not only relevant, but has been successfully deployed by multiple companies during some of the technology gold rushes that we have witnessed over the last few decades. Let's start with mobile computing. iOS and Android are two of the examples of two successful shovels of the mobile computing gold rush. Apple's iOS operating system that powers iPhones and works with smartphones and tablets across a wide range of manufacturers have revolutionized the way we interact with technology on the go. They have done so by providing a platform for app developers to build and distribute their mobile apps. Both of these platforms have built in capabilities and tools that enable the monetization of mobile apps, whether it's through in app purchases, subscriptions, advertisements, etc. Both of these platforms provide seamless integration beyond smartphones with home automation devices, wearable devices, IoT, and so on. Given the worldwide penetration of iOS and Android, it can be safely said that the mobile computing ecosystem as we know it would cease to exist and function without them. Here is an example of the power of iOS. In 2021, Apple implemented a privacy change that would allow its users to opt out of app tracking. What it means is if you're an iPhone user like me, you have the option of preventing brands from tracking your activities across different apps. This was a small change, but this inflicted significant damage on the social media behemoth Facebook, which is one of the many apps on the iOS operating system. And this led Facebook to lose $10 billion in ad revenue in 2022. Now you know who the famously combative CEO of Twitter, oops, X, is not going to pick a fight with. Musk may be trying to strike gold desperately with Twitter, but he's not going to be able to do so and will be severely handicapped without the twin shovels called iOS and Android. Moving on to cloud computing. Over the last few decades, there has been a sea change in the way we live, work, communicate, watch movies, book a car, book travel, etc. And this has given us iconic companies like Netflix, Uber, Airbnb, Zoom, Pinterest, to name a few. Now, one of the reasons behind the success of these companies, beyond their unique value propositions, of course, is the easy access to IT infrastructure that can be consumed as a service, compute network and storage that can flex up and down on demand. And the companies that made this possible are the public cloud providers led by AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. Now, the companies which are the consumers of public cloud, the Netflixes and the Ubers of the world, they are extremely valuable companies. But what kind of valuation can be attributed to the shovel makers of the cloud computing gold rush? Unfortunately, the three leading players in this domain are not standalone companies. But if they were, their valuations would run in trillions. For example, AWS, which has about 50% of the global share of the infrastructure as a service market, is on track to be valued at between $2.5 to $3 trillion according to Bloomberg. Google Cloud, which has about 12 to 15% of the infrastructure as a service market, can be valued anywhere between 500 billion to 1 trillion as a standalone company. Similar valuations can be attributed to Microsoft Azure. Which brings us to the latest technology gold rush. OpenAI would likely go down in history as one of Microsoft's most enduring and consequential and game-changing investments. But while there's all this hype about ChatGPT, and justifiably so, there's already an early winner in the AI gold rush. Say hello to the newest member of the $1 trillion club, NVIDIA. NVIDIA doesn't make chatbots. It designs AI chips. The H100 chips of NVIDIA that sell for about $40,000 a pop are largely responsible for the company reaping the benefits of an AI gold rush without creating a chatbot. So you might be thinking, does this mean this strategy only works for large companies? That brings us to you. If you, as an entrepreneur, find yourself in the middle of a technology gold rush, how would you deploy this strategy? Let's find out. Start with the basics. Every technology has certain pain points. For example, one of the challenges with AI is the high cost of machine learning models. These models require enormous amount of data. Quality of data is another challenge because at the end of the day, a machine learning model is only as good as the data it consumes. Narrow the scope. Resist the temptation to boil the ocean. You cannot solve every single pain point, nor should you have to, in order to be successful. One approach could be to develop a vertical focus. And one of the verticals that is prime for disruption with AI is healthcare. Unfortunately, healthcare data is complex, siloed, fragmented, and distributed across multiple institutions and systems. So while the data is useful, it is not usable in its current form. Now that you have identified the pain point you want to address, it's time to create the shovel. A shovel, in this case, can be a product or a service, or it can be a solution that combines a little bit of both. Going back to the healthcare example, you could develop a solution that ensures the accuracy and the completeness and the interoperability of the healthcare data. You'd have to make sure that the data is secure and reliable, that it is compliant with different legislations like HIPAA in USA. You can go beyond just the gathering and the cleansing of the data to automating the processing of the data and the labeling of the data. That would allow your customers to build their own AI tools on top of the healthcare data platform that you have created. Imagine how useful that would be to the different stakeholders. Now, one of the risks associated with the selling shovel strategy is the risk of market saturation. As more and more companies join the bandwagon, the market becomes overcrowded and competition intensifies. This can lead to price wars, margin erosion, and ultimately decreased profitability for the incumbents. In order to mitigate this risk, you have to be able to adapt the shovel because innovation is the key to survival in the shovel selling business. Going back to the healthcare example, one way to introduce innovations would be to develop different use cases for the healthcare data. For example, doctors and hospitals would be interested in understanding how they can reduce the chance of infection and improve the recovery time of patients coming out of surgeries. Your healthcare data platform would be able to provide them those insights. Insurance providers, on the other hand, would want to find out the probability of somebody getting a heart attack or a stroke before giving them insurance coverage. Your healthcare data would be able to provide them those insights that can help them drive those decisions. And the beauty of it all is this: sitting here today, we cannot even imagine all the permutations and the combinations of the different use cases that can be developed. Once you have ensured that the data is secured, that all the security protocols are in place, it is complete, it is accurate, it is reliable, it is interoperable, it is compliant, the sky's the limit. That is how you unlock the true potential of the healthcare data and build a sustainable business model for yourself. That is how you cement your position as a valuable player in the industry. That's what we call our four-step process Inca. No connection to the mythical Inca gold, by the way. Now, based on our discussion so far, you might be already getting an idea of what a shovel looks like and how we create values with it. A shovel is typically under the hood. It is in the background. It is invisible. For example, you see the apps on your iPhone. You don't go looking for the iOS operating system. In my case, I only become aware of it when I get a notification saying there's going to be some software upgrade installed tonight. That being said, these technologies are in high demand because they are enablers. They are platforms on top of which other companies build their successful products and services. Companies like Airbnb and Uber would not exist today without the twin shovels called iOS and Android and without the public cloud providers. Another characteristic of shovels is that they are scalable. You have to be able to scale very rapidly to meet customer demand, but without a significant increase in costs. That is how you deliver long-term value to the customer and build an enduring business model for yourself. And finally, as you may have realized, they're rather boring. But just because they are not sexy doesn't mean they are not valuable. Case in point, all the companies that we discussed as the shovel makers of the technology gold rush: Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, Microsoft, Nvidia, they're all members of the super exclusive trillion-dollar club. So it pays to be boring. And as one of my favorite thought leaders, Professor Scott Galloway, likes to say, if I hear something where I want to put a gun in my mouth, it's that boring, I smell money. What this means is shovel companies make very attractive investment targets. Remember that next time you're pitching. So if there's one thing you take away from the discussion today, it should be this. From Samuel Brennan to Jeff Bezos, it is the entrepreneurs selling shovels who have struck gold, whether in an actual or a technology gold rush. So I hope when you as an entrepreneur find yourself in the middle of a technology gold rush, you'd embrace the role of a value creator, seize overlooked opportunities, and forge a deliberate path to success that would allow you to build a thriving business of selling shovels rather than digging for gold. Thank you for joining me today.